this shouldn't be this chaotic, because the world's clock was built on a mistake we still live inside. Take a moment, look at a world map. Not at the borders or the shapes of countries, but at the quiet vertical bands slicing the planet into uneven pieces. Some are neat, some zigzag around coastlines. Some are wider than they should be, and a few jump by 30 minutes, or even 45. They look like the work of a skilled mathematician. But nothing about time zones is mathematical. Nothing about them is natural. And nothing about them was designed as part of a grand global plan. The system that tells you when you wake up, when planes depart, and when markets open was built out of panic, improvisation, and political rivalry, because for most of human history, the idea that the entire planet should operate on a single coordinated clock would have been unthinkable. Before engines, before wires, before railways and telegraphs, time was local, almost intimate. Every town had its own noon. Every village set its day by the sun above its sky, not anyone else's. If you traveled a few kilometers, the time changed. If you crossed a region, noon might shift by 15 or 20 minutes. But it didn't matter. No one moved fast enough for the difference to cause trouble. Then humanity changed speed. When railroads emerged in the early 1800s, journeys that once took days now took hours. Passengers could cross several local times before finishing breakfast. Yet every station still trusted its own clocks. Clocks set by local sun, not by shared agreement. And things began breaking. Imagine you buy a train ticket for $2.15, but the next town insists it's $2.21. The one after that says $2.07. Schedules collapsed under the weight of contradiction. Passengers missed connections, goods didn't arrive, trains crashed because engineers operated on different local times. For the first time ever, time was dangerous. Railway companies invented their own internal time systems, each one declaring itself correct. A single country could have dozens of competing times. Instead of one wrong answer, the world had many. Then came the invention that forced humanity to confront the chaos, the telegraph. Messages now move faster than humans. A communication that took a week by horse could travel continents in minutes. Suddenly everyone needed to know what time it was somewhere else, a question no one had ever needed to ask. The world needed standardization. But agreeing on time meant agreeing on power. And the great empires of the 19th century seldom agreed on anything. By 1884, the pressure became impossible to ignore. Shipping companies demanded a global standard. Railroads lobbied governments. Scientific institutions complained they couldn't perform accurate calculations. Nations blamed each other for confusion. So in October of that year, representatives from 26 countries gathered in Washington, D.C. Their mission: create a universal system for time on Earth. But underneath the scientific language was a geopolitical struggle. Britain argued the prime meridian should pass through Greenwich, the heart of its naval empire. France pushed for Paris. The United States wanted influence. Russia preferred St. Petersburg. Japan sought recognition. Latin American nations insisted that adopting a European line again was symbolic submission. It was not a mathematical meeting. It was a diplomatic battlefield. In the end, politics prevailed. Greenwich became Global Zero. And from that line, the world was divided into 24 theoretical slices, one for each hour of Earth's rotation, a clean system, a logical solution, a triumph of international cooperation. Except, almost no one followed it. The real world immediately bent the system into shapes the delegates never imagined. Countries shifted time zones to match trade partners. Colonial borders forced irregular patterns across Africa and Asia. Island nations demanded offsets to align with economic calendars. New countries adopted symbolic time zones to assert identity. China, wide enough for 5 time zones, chose one. A political decision that still shapes the daily rhythm of 1.4 billion people. India adopted a half-hour offset. Nepal went further, a 45-minute offset. Australia carved itself into zones that shift with the season. Pacific Islands hopped across the international date line when it benefited tourism or trade. Time became not just a measurement, but a statement. During World War II, Whole regions adjusted their clocks overnight to align with occupying forces. In the Cold War, shifting a time zone became a subtle declaration of loyalty or resistance. After independence, dozens of nations changed their time to distance themselves from colonial powers. Even today, moving a clock can reshape geopolitics. Samoa famously jumped west across the international date line in 2011, erasing an entire day. Not for science, but to strengthen trade ties with Australia and New Zealand instead of the United States. North Korea created Pyongyang time to symbolically reject Japanese colonial standards, then abolished it decades later to signal cooperation. Spain has lived in the wrong time zone for 80 years, a legacy of Franco's alignment with Nazi Germany during World War II. In China's western Xinjiang region, 2 clocks exist simultaneously: Beijing time and local time used by the Uyghur population, a quiet symbol of cultural identity and political tension. Time is supposed to be universal, but the world treats it like territory. And the contradictions didn't stop with geopolitics. They followed humanity into the digital age. Satellites orbit Earth using atomic time, a perfectly precise system that doesn't match human time at all. GPS time has drifted more than 18 seconds away from coordinated time. Computer systems must constantly reconcile leap seconds, tiny adjustments that can crash servers, break financial systems, or delay airline schedules. Even your phone is fighting the chaos. Every flight you book, every calendar invite, every international message, all are translated through a fragile web of time conversions layered on top of a 19th century system. Digital time is perfect. Human time is messy. Look again at a time zone map. Those strange bends, those island jumps, those half-hour offsets, those decisions that seem irrational. They aren't mistakes. They're the scars of how humans adapted to a world suddenly moving faster than the sun. They're the fingerprints of empires, negotiations, conflicts, revolutions, and fragile compromises. Time zones are not just science. They're history carved into the fabric of every hour you live. And the next time you glance at a clock, remember, the moment you are experiencing, this hour, this minute, exists because of trains that crashed, wires that hummed, empires that argued, and nations that refused to yield. Your time is a historical artifact. If this changed how you see the world, the next story is waiting for you.